Ukrainian President Zelensky has said the war is not over until Ukraine liberates Crimea. I'm going to be looking at this, and we're going to be looking at a second article as well. The Ukrainian special ops troops cross Dnipro River during powerful Russian counterattacks. Two articles today with regards to the war in Ukraine. Let's go, guys. Let's dive right in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Wherever you are in the world, this is REGANELITE here. And I'm going to start with this news feed from the Kyiv Independent, originating this interview that Zelensky is giving with CNN, pretty much stating that the war will not be over until Ukraine liberates Crimea. So let's see what the Ukrainian president has had to say. In an interview with CNN, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine's ultimate goal is to liberate Crimea with any peace scenario with the peninsula remaining under Russian control would not be victory. We cannot imagine Ukraine without Crimea, and while Crimea is under Russian occupation, it means only one thing: the war is not over yet, said Zelensky. Russia occupied the Crimean Peninsula following the Euromaidan Revolution in 2014, which ousted the pro-Russian leader Viktor Yanukovych. Apologies for mispronounced names, guys. Since the start of the full-scale war, Russia has been using Crimea to launch missile attacks against Ukraine as a logistics route to transfer equipment to the southern battlefield. Kyiv has repeatedly vowed to return Crimea to Ukraine. It's no secret that Ukraine wants the Crimea back. But it has also been over 10 years since it's last been in the hands of Ukraine, and 10 years has been a long time. And during that time as well, what Russia have done is pushed a lot of its own people into Crimea while pushing Ukrainian people out. There has been a lot of that been happening as well. So it is more of Russian people than Ukrainians in Crimea. So it'll be interesting to see that if Ukraine retakes Crimea, how the people in Crimea react to it. In the CNN interview, Zelensky also commented on the Wagner Group's short-lived rebellion, calling the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's reaction weak. Firstly, he doesn't control everything. Wagner's moving deep into Russia and taking certain regions show how easy it is to do it. Putin doesn't control the situation in the region, Zelensky told CNN. All that vertical of power he used to have is just crumbling down. We don't know the full story about Wagner, so I'd be very careful to jump to those conclusions, I would say. There may be more stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about on that. Zelensky also cited Ukrainian intelligence reports saying that the Kremlin was measuring with support for Wagner boss Yuri Pozgin, which has allegedly shown that half of the Russians backed Pozgin and his group's insurrection. Pozgin launched a march for justice against Russia's military leaders on June the 23rd after the Russian army allegedly targeted Wagner's troops in Ukraine. His mercenaries occupied Rushkov and marched 200 kilometers to Moscow, only to abruptly end the rebellion less than 24 hours after its start. As a result of an undisclosed agreement between Wagner's leader and the Kremlin, Pozgin and his contractors were allowed to leave for Belarus to avoid persecution. So that's pretty much all it is to it on that. But interesting to say the least. Obviously, he's vowed to take back Crimea as part of a peace deal, if there was to be any kind of peace deal. Now, just bear with me 1 second while I just adjust my screen here for you guys. So this next article we're going to be reading is from the Kyiv Post here. And the headline, is the Ukrainian special ops troops cross the Dnipro River, drawing powerful Russian counterattacks. This is the latest report. The Ukrainian cross-river raids with small boats over the Dnipro River have drawn responses from Russian tanks and artillery. Pro-Moscow sources claim success, while Kyiv says it's planned attrition. So a lot of talk, obviously, that there has been a lot of talk that obviously the counter-offensive has begun with, and it seems that Russia are hitting their own counterattacks. So let's dive into it, guys. Ukrainian infantry raided across the Dnipro River near the southern city Kherson, was locked in firefights on Monday with elements of at least 2 Russian controversial brigades. Pro-Moscow spokesmen said the bridgehead would soon be crushed, whereas Kyiv officials claimed that the diversion tactics had exposed previously hidden Kremlin artillery to counterstrikes. Both small boat teams from the Ukraine's elite 73rd Marine Special Operations units were, according to Russian sources, being pressed into shrinkage parameters around the south end of the demolished Antonivsky bridge, a span across the Dnipro destroyed by retreating Russian troops in November. Ukrainian military spokesperson has confirmed special operations troops operating on the left bank of the Dnipro River since at least May, amongst them in the 73rd, Kyiv's perimeter small boat commando unit. Russian military information platforms claim Kremlin troops backed by tanks and artillery were systematically clearing out Ukrainian infantry on the Russian side of the river over the weekend, and some sources asserted that the Ukrainian forces were completely destroyed by Sunday. Pro-Russian blogger Yurgi, in a Sunday Situation estimated, said, "Communications with the region is unfortunately not stable, but based on what the guys that are there have told me, the enemy is regrouping, and it is not clear whether it's evacuating this bridgehead totally, but our guides are pressing them. And right now we don't have any hard information about what's going on." Russia's 127th Brigade was leading the attack on Ukrainian forces, claimed. Other pro-Moscow information platforms said a Russian Marine infantry unit backed by tanks and artillery were also participating in the counter-offensive. The British intelligence update on July the 1st said defending Russian forces in the area included the elements of 7th Guard Air Assault Divisions. Russian media on Thursday reported 2 powerful weapons not normally employed by the Kremlin forces against light raiding infantry teams, the TOS flamethrower rocket launchers and massive Iskander surface-to-surface missile, had pounded the Ukrainian bridgehead. Russian airstrikes were also reported, but some Russian military information platforms complained the Russian Air Force bombs and missiles missed. Interesting to say the least. So it looks like Russia have hit quite back here, allegedly. This is what they're claiming anyway. The terrain around the south end of the destroyed Antonivsky bridge, I'm terrible with this name, guys, I do apologise. It's swampy, heavily wooded and thick with summer cottages, orchards and gardens. Ukrainians light infantry from the 73rd and possibly other units intensified raids across the Dnipro to the sector in May against weak Russian opposition. By late June, a 5 to 10 kilometre wide belt of the left, the formerly Russian-held Dnipro River bank in the vintage, appears to be fully under Ukrainian control, with Russian boat patrols hitting ambushes and according to civilian social media. Ukraine's small boats team moved freely back and forth across the river. On Saturday, Russia's defence military, without offering evidence, claimed all Ukrainian forces in the vicinity of the actual bridge had been totally destroyed. Ukrainian's Air Force spokesperson Yuri Engek confirmed that the Icelandic code had been fired, but Russian claims the strikes destroyed Ukrainian troops in the vicinity were overblown. Natila Hamakik, a senior spokesperson for Ukraine's Joint Forces South, in a Saturday statement said that the serious battles are ongoing on the left bank of the Dnipro opposite Kherson, and the armed forces of Ukraine, the AFU long-range counter-battery artillery, was taking advantage of Russians' attempts to clear the bridgehead by hitting shorter-range Russian howitzers and cannons brought to the battle. Russia's artillery losses in recent weeks have been at a wartime high, averaging around 25 to 30 system losses per day, with even higher peaks of registering during the kick-off of Ukraine's summer offensive on June 6 to the 10th. Over the weekend, on July the 1st to the 2nd, Icelandic military analysis Ranga Gudmundsson reported in open source findings. Ukrainian's Army General Staff AGS in its July the 3rd morning situation estimated no direct references to the fighting along the Dnipro River flood plan, beyond stating Ukrainians' reconnaissance had observed Russians' attempts to regain lost ground in the Kherson sector. An AGS July the 3rd estimate of Russian equipment were destroyed over the previous 24 hours claimed Kremlin artillery losses were continuing at space, with 32 Russian howitzers or motor systems and 4 rocket systems put out of commission or captured by the AFU units. Interesting to say the least. So it looks like there's been a fierce fighting taking place, obviously, around Kherson. That is for sure. But this is what we seem to have gathered so far. Obviously, we will keep an eye on it. That is for sure, guys. I think just going back to Zelensky talking about obviously looking to retake Crimea. We have talked about it before, whether or not we think it's right that if peace could be negotiated, if it meant them not getting Crimea back, would they take it? Zelensky there saying no, he wouldn't, but I do want the fight to stop more than anything. I want the bloodshed to stop more than anything, guys. I really, really do. But there's a part of me that just feels like Ukraine just can't let go of the territory that they've lost. And I totally understand that, and I feel for them, because it's they've literally gone in there and taken territory that does not belong to them. They literally have done that, and it just feels wrong. It just feels wrong on so many levels. It's interesting to see how these summer counter-offensives are going to continue. Obviously, I will try to bring you guys up to date as much as I possibly can, whenever it's possible. But what do you guys make of some of the analysis? What do you guys make of Zelensky's comments? What do you guys make of the counter-attack that Russia tried to make? Obviously, we have to be careful. It is some of it can be speculation. It's not all factual. I have had people in the past criticise the Kiev Post and their articles before, so I am wary of that, of course. But I do think they are genuinely decent sources. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but I think it's very hard to know for certain unless you're literally on the front lines. You're not going to know 100% for certain. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you make of some of the analysis of what Zelensky said and some of the offences taking place and counter-offensives taking place around Kherson, guys? Like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys very, very soon.